Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be Seducing the Structured Woman. So it's been a long time since I had an email about a woman who happened to be structured. And so this particular guy, he's 22, going to college, saw an absolute smoke show, walked by, made a comment, waved her over. She came over. They talked for about 20 minutes. Had a good interaction. They exchanged numbers. She was enthusiastic. I mean, everything was just absolutely textbook, right out of 3% Man, just like I talked about. He's obviously a good student, did really well. Date went great, and then he goes to kiss her at the end, and she gives him the cheek. But that wasn't the end of the story. I don't want to give away what he did because he follows what, for the most part, with one exception, what I talk about and how to deal with shy and structured women. Because what you want is you want a woman who's following a set of rules. Maybe she's extra religious, like in this particular case, this woman happened to be extra religious, and so she's following a set of rules. And what you want with the structured woman is, as the man, you want her to do what you want to do. In other words, you want her to feel safe and comfortable enough to submit to you and follow your lead and throw all the rules out the window. But if you don't do that and you keep trying to date most structured women, it's just going to be difficult. It's going to be a pain in the butt. It's like everything is an ordeal. Because ideally, the best relationships, just like think about your best friendships in your life, they're easy, they're effortless, they're a source of ease and delight. Easygoing, easy to get along with. You have similar goals, similar values. You never run out of things to talk about. Things just flow naturally. And that's what you want, especially in your intimate relationships, because you're going to spend most of your time in your intimate relationships. And if you got somebody that's always acting inauthentic because they're following a set of rules, things got to be a certain way, it never feels natural. And after a while, that gets really old and really frustrating. So, with that said, I got a quote that I wrote, and then we'll go through his email. And the quote says, "Shy and structured women tend to follow a set of rules and hoops that they make men jump through in order to date and seduce them successfully. It's one thing to be religious, shy, structured, and follow a set of rules to ensure that someone is really into you before escalating things physically, but continually following a set of unnatural rules turns people into inauthentic robots that makes everything unnecessarily difficult instead of easy and effortless. Great relationships, when your goals and values are totally aligned, just like great friendships, are rare, divinely orchestrated, and full of ease and delight. Developing and working on yourself to become the best version of you so you can be a great teammate until the right person or people come along is the path that all smart, self-actualizing people take to reach their full potential. Impatience never commands success because great things take time and are worth the effort and time invested." The key is to make sure that these people or those people are worth the investment of your time. So with that said, let's go through his email. He says, "Howdy, Coach. I'd like to share my success story about winning the heart of the woman of my dreams. My name is Bob, and I have been a fan of yours for just over a year now. I've read 3% Man 9 times and Mastering Yourself twice. Pretty good. And it's all within a year. That's very good. Good job." So he's a good student. What do I always say about the great success stories? They're really good students. They follow the instructions. They read the book 10 to 15 times. When I do phone sessions and guys are making mistakes and doing the wrong things, assuming they're with a good, normal, healthy woman and not a lunatic, 9 times out of 10, it's because he really hasn't read the book, or he half-assed it, or he read it a couple times a few years ago when they got together. He started seducing her successfully. Things were going along great for several months. So he felt like, I don't need to read the book 10 to 15 times. I got this. And then 2 to 3 years later, when they've gotten lazy and complacent, they start going back through the book. Obviously, we're talking about my first book, 3% Man. and then recognizing, oh, wow, I really got off the path. And then, obviously, it's an emergency. It's a lot harder to try to turn things around when the reality is just being a poor student has consequences. I mean, think about it. When you're in college, like this particular guy is, a lot of classes, you can't half-ass it. You got to study and you got to pay attention and you got to put the time in. Otherwise, you're going to fail the class. And it's no different when it comes to what I teach, 3% Man. If you're a good student, you're going to get good, easy, and effortless, consistent results. If you're kind of a half-assing student, the guy that likes to prepare the night before the final exam, it's not going to go well. It's going to be rocky instead of smooth and easy and effortless. Because you never know when a smoke show like this is just going to walk into your life, and if you're unprepared and you screw it up, I mean, with a class, you can always take the class over next semester. But when a great woman comes along, the kind of woman that you might only meet a handful of times a decade, where you just click and everything is easy and effortless, you're going to be thinking about her just about every day until you meet somebody else that makes you feel the same way. And they sting and they hurt. And they're meant to sting and they're meant to hurt, because that pain is what causes you to recognize that my approach ain't working. I'm experiencing a lot of pain. Therefore, I need to move in a new direction. He says, I'm 22 and in first year of university, which has been fantastic for meeting and dating beautiful women. Well, you're never going to be around more beautiful, single, attractive women your age than when you're in college. And it's great for establishing a group of friends and meeting a social circle, because especially you meet people in your major. Like when I was in construction management, I met a lot of dudes that I became friends with. And even after we all graduated, we kept in touch. Some of us, we worked together. And it was great for a lot of connections that I made. And some of the connections I made in college, which I wrote about in my second book, Mastering Yourself, those connections that I made in college were invaluable, because the people that I got to know enabled me to get the jobs that I want. And it's like the job that I have with Syntex Rooney. I went to school with the CEO's son. So I met him in class. We used to hang out and drink beers together. And I got to know the marketing manager because he also was a part-time professor. And I also got to know the scheduling manager, who was also one of my professors. So I had 3 top-level executives in the company that I had contacts through. Either I took classes from them, or I literally, in one case, knew the CEO's son. It's like, it's helpful. It's helpful for your career when you make those kinds of connections and everybody likes each other. Because if people like you, they're more inclined to give you a job and give you an opportunity. So with certain degrees, college is a great thing. But for especially a lot of these useless degrees that people are getting today, people don't even think about what kind of a job am I going to get when I get out of college? How much money is this going to pay me versus just learning things on YouTube or reading books on my own? And if you're getting a college degree and it's not going to guarantee you a significant salary doing something you really love and you really enjoy, you're wasting your money, and it's just asinine stupidity to go into debt for hundreds of thousands of dollars for a degree that is barely going to make you $30,000 a year starting out. It's just a waste. I met my now girlfriend in March. She walked past my table outside the library wearing totally hot, bright blue jeans, which accentuated her curves and wavy red hair. What a smoke show. That's wonderful when that happens. Just some women, they walk by and you're just like, ooh. They just put a spring in your step. They light you up on the inside. It's like, wow, there is a God. Naturally, I had to call out, hey, nice blue, resulting in her turning around and shouting, me? Beauty needs a witness, as Zan Piran said, which I think is absolutely true. So he saw beauty in his world and he had to call it out and notice it. Feminine energy grows through praise, after all. When it's authentic, when it's a real compliment meant to light her up because you want her to know what you think's beautiful about her, versus throwing a line about how she looks because you're hoping it's going to get a reaction and cause her to like you. When it comes from the heart, when it's authentic and real and there's no attachment to it, it's beautiful, the effect that it has on women. But you have to deliver it authentic, because if it's not, women can tell, they can feel it, and they want to have a good reaction. I beckoned her over to my table and asked her where she got them from. She seemed shy, but was open to talking, and I continued asking her questions while returning hers with short, funny answers. We talked for around 20 minutes, with her laughing and leaning further into the table as I slowly leaned back opposite her. She then realized she was late for class, so I jumped onto the opportunity to ask her for her number and said, "Hey, you and I should get together. What's your number?" That's a great line. We should get together sometime. You should memorize that one. We should get together sometime. That's a great way to phrase it. We swapped phones, and she puts her number in and even takes a picture of herself for the contact photo. That takes confidence, and also shows she wanted you to remember her, because she could tell you were taken by her beauty. Not many guys have the balls to call over a pretty girl and notice what they like about her. Fast forward a few days, and I call her on Thursday afternoon. She openly said she was shocked that someone called her and agreed. There's another. I see some of these millennial guys or these younger guys going, "Oh, coach, like we only text in my generation." It's like, yeah, right. That's your excuse. So here's a guy calling a girl, because that shows confidence. It's an unusual thing to actually call a woman out. Like, wow. I've had so many younger women that I've met over the last 10, 12 years tell me that they were stunned. It's like never happened to them. I'm thinking, really? Because every guy texts, because that's easy. It's easier to text. It's a lower way. It lowers your risk of rejection, or the pain or the sting of rejection. That's why if you got confidence, you're going to call a girl. You want to hear her voice. She openly said she was shocked that someone called her and agreed eagerly to meeting up in the park the following Friday. Of course, I did not contact her until the date, and we met in the park with a hug, and she said that I'm very handsome and she's glad I asked her out. Obviously, high interest in there. High mutual interest. That's the important thing. She was really into him, because she came over and talked to him because she liked him. Now, if she wasn't interested, she would turn around and said thanks and kept on moving. Or if he'd have motioned her over, she'd be like, "Oh, I got to get to class." She'd have been not interested. But at least he lit her up, and she'll be thinking about him the rest of the day and the fact that he had the balls to light her up. And she's like, wow, I actually encountered a man. Doesn't happen very often. We talked lots and walked around the town. She grabbed my hand when crossing a road and would follow me as I zigzagged across the footpath as you did in the book. So I talk about this in 3% Man. So as you're walking down the street, and I had fun, like when I was really learning this stuff, it was amusing to me, because you can walk, and if you just kind of zigzag and you weave, you notice that when the woman's bumping into you, it's like you kind of move away a little bit. It's because it's like totally subconscious. It shows how much she likes you. She literally bumps into you as you walk down the street, and you can like literally lead her all over the place. It's kind of funny. When she started getting closer to me, I leaned forward and told her, "I find you intoxicating to look at." Another authentic, I wouldn't say it's a line, it's noticing her beauty. She went bright red and speechless for a few minutes, probably because it's the first time in her young life that a man has ever said something like that to her and not expected anything in return. It's really, literally a gift from his heart. And so she felt it. Notice how the authenticity melts her. She turned bright red and speechless for a few minutes. That's why if you're in a busy place and you see a chick with you, like, you got a fucking unbelievable body. It's like, what? What? Most women will be shocked. They've never heard it. And they'll want you to say it again. They'll go, what? You know they heard you. They want to hear it again, because it's so rare to get a real, authentic compliment from a man. Usually when a guy gives a compliment, he's creepy about it and trying to get something from her, or trying to disguise his interest. But she was smiling ear to ear, and I think she eventually squeaked out, "I like you too, LOL." She then pulled out a box of chocolates. Presents. Presents are good. Which she had bought to give me as a present. Well, that's nice. I like that. Girls that come bearing gifts on a first date. We then went to get food at my favorite local place, where I leaned in to kiss her. Ta-da! To my amusement, she leaned back and said, "I'm sorry, I really like you and I really want to kiss you, but I've never kissed anyone before and I want it to be special. So maybe she's a little inexperienced? Maybe. Maybe. I just smirked at her and said, no worries, let's enjoy our meal. I walked her back to her car where she leaned in and said, I can't wait to see you again. I replied something like, I'll call you to organize something next week. With a hug, she left. No kissy poo. So we're dealing with looks like a pretty structured girl. Learning what you've taught has allowed me to at least make out with a girl that I take out, but her reaction and denial was so unusual that I took it as a challenge to improve my game and get what I desired. Well, as I talk about in the book, me personally, I would never call a girl like that again because I'm not interested in validating that kind of behavior. I'm not interested in validating a girl who doesn't want to kiss me, who wants to kiss me. And the only reason I would go out with her again or give her another opportunity is if she reached out. If she really liked me, she'd reach out and want to know where I went. But if she didn't, I'd probably never hear from her again. I organized our second date so this guy did a little differently. He took it as a challenge. He's like, I'm pretty sure this girl likes me. Let me see if I can get her to kiss me on the second date. And so you'll see what happens and why the rules that I have in there work great. I organized our second date for bowling and pool a few weeks later. Even though she wouldn't kiss me, she made a bet that whoever won pool would get a kiss in the cheek. I won and she obliged. Ooh, a kiss in the cheek. How exciting. She called me a few weeks later to invite me on a date that she wanted to organize. So what happened is after the second date of getting no kissy poo, he's like, that's it. I'm not calling this girl again. I gave her 2 dates and all I got was a kiss in the cheek. I'm not down with that. I don't care what the reasons are. I gave her 2 chances. A 3% man will be like, nah. I'll give it another shot, but she's going to have to work for it. That's your attitude. If you have plenty of choices and plenty of options and you know you're a catch and you're a good-looking dude because you take care of yourself and you work out. I mean, just be in shape and in fit when close to 74-75% of Americans are obese or overweight. You're going to look good than almost every dude out there. And that's a sad reality. Our society has become supersized and soft. She took me up to the local mountain for dinner and stargazing, which turns out was just a ruse to get me to kiss her. I want you to be my boyfriend, she said to me after the meal, which I replied, sounds delightful, but can I think about it? Good answer. Good answer. Don't give it up so easily. Besides, it's pretty soon. And a girl that says that's either really insecure or really selective and doesn't have a lot of experience. She looked a bit unhappy at that response, which cracked me up, and I gave her my answer with her first kiss. Well, at least she kissed you. But you notice everything changed because it was her idea. So in her mind, the rules are no kiss, no kissy poo until we're boyfriend and girlfriend. But it doesn't end there. On this same evening in question, we went on multiple dates since then, and one to a local fair with rides and dinner. We met out with my classmates late for dinner, which was hilarious, as my female friend at the time kept throwing playful barbs at me. Without realizing it, my girlfriend started defending me and firing barbs back at the end. During the meal, she kept giving me the bedroom eyes, which was accompanied by the footsies under the table. Naughty. I took her home for her to stay the night, where she said, just because I'm in your bed doesn't mean we're having sex. Okay, never heard that before. So what that really means is, I'm going to fuck your brains out as long as you don't talk me out of it. I smirked and said, okay, but you have to keep your hands off me. Nice comeback. We get into bed, and I started the 2 steps forward, 1 step back principle. Oh, this is really super important. I've done a lot of phone sessions with guys over the years. Part of the problem, they didn't read the book 10 to 15 times, and they got into this situation where a woman says something like that, and then they take the delay as a permanent denial instead of just, hey, slow your roll. It's going a little too fast. Just slow down. Pump the brakes a little bit, bro. It's in the bag. It's the way James Bond is like. He just smirks. Yeah, whatever. You'll be naked. You'll be naked in the bugs later. If you know what the bugs is, that's where her feet are behind her head, or it looks like Bugs Bunny. We end up having crazy bedroom Olympics that night. Naughty. It's important to note that she's both heavily religious and stated that she would only get into bed with someone she loves, yet she contradicted herself the next morning when she said that she could not help herself around me. She's super infatuated, I would say. Her interest is an 8. I'd say it's an 8 at this particular juncture in our story. A month of dating later, and she told me she was falling in love with me. That's about 9. She's hitting a 9. And now, as of 2 months, we made it clear we both love each other. Cheers. But you saw what happened. He just walked away after the second date. I would have walked away after the first, but that's just me. But because if the girl really likes you and she's not really hardcore into her rules, she'll reach back out. And she'll be more flexible, which is what you want. Flexible and submissive is what you're looking for. Not a hard-ass, crazy feminist with freaky-ass hair and all kinds of weird tattoos and piercings to make herself as unattractive as possible. I don't need men. I'm independent. I got lots of dogs and cats. She's extremely affectionate, intimate, and a giver. Both our love languages are touch, time, and words of affirmation, which makes it easy to give her the love she deserves. She playfully challenges me, and when I pass, she starts laughing and jumps into my arms. She lives 45 minutes out of town, but does not hesitate to come visit me and jumps my bones whenever we're together. Better go to church, naughty people. She grabs my arm whenever we walk together and can't keep her hands off me in public. Oh, you poor thing. She's everything that's on my list, Coach. And we even share your green juice occasionally. To the green juice gods, the gods of the green juice, we salute you. And maybe you guys haven't seen the 30-day challenge videos I've been doing with Gracie and Chunky as we take them through doing Corey's green juice, Corey's green alkaline smoothies, the nut mix, all of the nut mix that I talk about, obviously, in Mastering Yourself, the pH salts, apples, and eventually the colon cleansing, the ass blast, as we like to call it. So you see the progression, and obviously, especially the ones over the weekend, which are towards the latter part of when we're doing the 30-day challenge, and you can hear how it changed them, how it affected their energy level, their skin, especially because they both had problems with acne. And but now that everybody's on summer break, I think Gracie's kind of fallen off the wagon. So is Chunky a little bit, by the way. So he's like, my shirts are getting a little tighter again. He's like, get your fucking ass in the gym, bro. It's hard. It's easy to get off the path. It's hard to stay on it, but the coach is still going strong. So if you got a question or a challenge that you'd like to get my help with, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.